Paula, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We've been planning this for a few weeks and we finally got the time. Very glad to have you for podcast 37.
Glad to be here. I'm glad we're finally being able to get together and do this podcast.
Yeah, this is going to be about fitness.
Yes, fitness.
So I wanted to ask you about your fitness family background, but I also wanted to get to the origins of before you got into a fitness family.
Yeah.
What was your background before then on fitness?
So actually, um, I want to say early 20s to mid 20s. I wasn't very active. I definitely was, my health wasn't the best. And what really motivated me to start being more active was I was going down a road of basically being pre diabetic. Diabetes runs in my family, and I had like very high like sugar levels, AC1, etc. So I knew that I needed to make a change. So in 2016, I was walking down a mall, and there was a gentleman that actually approached myself, and I was with my mom and my sister at the time, and he had handed us a promotion to 24-hour fitness. And I kept telling myself, I really want to join a gym. And I know we had different options. I didn't know which gym I wanted to join, but I was like, okay, this is a sign. Like, I'm going to go check it out. And this was during November. So you have a bunch of like Black Friday promotions, etc. So I ended up finally going in and I signed up, and I had signed up with a personal trainer actually. I think it was like a certain amount of sessions, and I can't remember the amount. I want to say it was 10. So I started doing that, started exercising, really looking into eating healthier, especially like with the sugars and such. So I basically cut out sodas, juices, anything with high sugar content, added sugar. So I was doing 24 hours fitness for a good while, actually, for about 2 years before I transitioned into a different gym environment that was more group based. So doing 24 and having a personal trainer was amazing. It was great, him being able to take a look at my form and making sure that I'm not getting hurt and I'm doing things properly and like helping push me, etc. was really great. But kind of taking a look around, you kind of look like, man, if I had other people working out with me, I feel like that would help motivate me to continue going. It's like, a lot of the times it's like a lot of the times it's a mental thing, like when you're doing a work set and you just want to quit and your brain is telling you just stop, just rest. But then I figured, in a group setting, you will have all these other people around you just pushing themselves, and you see that and you're like, you know what, I can push myself too, I can go. So I actually ended up meeting a woman at 24-hour fitness. She would come to the gym and I would never see her work out. I was like, what is she doing? She just comes and she just takes the showers and she leaves. I'm like, oh, so I approached her and I started chatting with her, and she actually introduced me to a current gym that I'm going to called Results Transformation Center. And that is a group based exercise, I guess, facility. And they're really known for the 6 week weight loss challenge or whatever. And that's not so much what I was interested in. It was more the group setting and just having a group of like minded people that are trying to get healthy and, being active on a day to day, etc. So I joined that gym, and basically that's how I got my fit fam. And it's just more than just going to the gym every day. We've gone to the brunch, we've gone to dinners, we've celebrated birthdays, and it's just like, they're our family. We're family now. So it's been awesome, really, really great, and still motivating. It's awesome to have other people be like, okay, how's it going? And you can be like, oh, you know what? I've been kind of falling off the wagon a bit. We didn't see you at the gym. Come on, you got to
Yeah.
make it. So, yeah. So it's just been really, really great. So awesome. I'm so thankful for, being able to go and meet all these different people from all walks of life. And it's just like, you know what? We're here for a reason. We're here together. And we all always motivate each other, etc. So it's been awesome. So awesome.
Glad to
Yeah.
hear it. I haven't heard of that concept before, so I was going. This is
Yeah.
a different
Yeah.
kind of slice of life that I just haven't really experienced before. And what got me interested was I saw a Facebook post you had, and it was what you were talking about. Hey, I didn't see you at the gym today, and then there was all these comments about the excuses or why I didn't show up, or sometimes it's legitimate, sometimes it wasn't. But there was this gentle tease of you should probably come back
Yes.
Wednesday. You come in Wednesday.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just like it helps keep you accountable. It's like it's not only yourself that you're keeping yourself accountable. It's like, if you want a change, you're not gonna get it by sitting on the couch or, not coming to the gym, where you're gonna be moving your body. You're gonna be working it. So
Glad
it's
to hear
been
it.
great. Yeah. So have you ever done any type of like group setting, like exercise, workouts? I know that you do a lot of swimming.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so when in middle school and high school, that was most of my group
Okay.
interactions for doing it. So I did. So actually, not well. I did. My dad decided you're going to go into cross country at eighth grade, and I go what?
Ooh.
And then I've never done that before. I hated running,
Okay.
but nonetheless, I went and I went with a group, and I did that for 3 seasons. So I did that up to sophomore year where I said, okay, life's getting a little too crazy. I need to focus more on my grades than sports. And that's where I
Okay.
had the fork in the road stop for a minute. But yeah, most of my group exercise was from about 8th to 10th grade. And then there was this rebirth of it freshman year because more time showed up. So going to the arc, going for the run, going to the weight room. And
Yeah.
then around 2011, I got to go and I was doing more swim time with Julian, so my co-host,
Mhm.
and then that kind of spurred maybe I could go the lap lanes, and then from then on, I wasn't really working out with people. It was mostly by myself at that point. So about 2011 was the cutoff into
Ah,
more
I
of what I'm
see.
doing now. Um, and that's mainly due to schedules. Just okay, people don't want to go. It's just whatever. I'm gonna go.
Exactly. I totally understand. And a lot of the times part of it is to you being motivated to get out, get up. I mean, what time do you usually go and do your swims?
I'll go in the
In the
afternoons.
evenings?
Yeah,
Okay.
afternoons,
Yeah.
evenings, and then
Okay.
for bike rides, if I do that, probably around the same time frame. Lately, that's a recent addition. I haven't done biking since pretty much 2016. So
Ah.
it's been a long time, and I'm used to it just being a commuter bike, and then now it's more of a no, this is more of
Like,
a racing bike kind of thing. So
oh,
I need to put in more time on going faster and learning some of the nuances of aluminum frame bikes.
yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
came about because of my friend Aaron. He's in from our high school friend group, really. And he said, our group's getting road
Hmm.
bikes. Jake, I'm already doing this. You're probably one of the first people that should get one, so that way more of our group would get it. Because that's how the friendship works. Get the most likely person to do it to do first, and then other people will follow suit.
Right. Right.
So that's happening right now in our friend group. So it's been good. I dig the bike. Now that I live more on a second story, I don't have to worry about it getting stolen because it's parked away.
Good.
That was the
Right.
main reason why I didn't buy a bike for about 3 years because I'm going, it's going to be on the first floor, and if I want to get a bike, it's not going to be a steel one. People are going to see that it's going to be a Target.
Right. Right.
Not a problem anymore, but it used to be. But yeah, I mean, the last time I did legit working out with people regularly, I think 2016, I had this like 4 week span with Inez, who was on podcast 10, and
Hmm.
with Paula, one of my mentees, and then we were running around Temescal. There was this 3 mile loop, so it was pretty
Oh,
good.
okay.
Cause,
Yeah.
so, cause it's one loop all the way around. It's on a road, and then if you want to do a second loop, that'd be 6 miles. So we were
Hmm.
practicing for some of those. Then it got really hot in 2016, and then that kind of put an end to it. And then I went
Ah,
back to swimming more. Um, but yeah, no, I haven't done a lot of group activity in a minute, mainly because of life kind of threw a big wrench in things once everyone got jobs. I mean, the scheduling thing
yeah.
is just kind of a pain.
It's super difficult. Everybody's just like all different walks of life. They're scheduling, and then I'm assuming probably different cities as well.
Oh, that throws a whole new
Oh,
wrench into things.
yeah.
Let's say you got friends in Citrus Heights, you got friends over in Sacramento, you got friends in
Hmm.
over in El Dorado Hills. That takes some coordination. You can't just turn on
For
a
sure.
dime and go see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, sad
Totally.
reality, but that's
It
what we live
is.
with.
It is. Totally agree. Okay.
As far as other questions go, I wanted to ask about. Um, so after you got all this taken care of, were there any hard things you had to overcome while you were getting that fitness family starting? Because even though you were working out before, was there anything that was like you were really having a hard time getting over that you were able to overcome?
So when I first got into the group, I was really nervous. I didn't really know what to expect. The class time that worked best for me was actually a time when that didn't work for the friend that actually introduced me to the group setting um, gym, the results. And so just kind of zone and just like reaching out. Everybody was super, it's like you think that you're fit, but you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm huffing and puffing over here. But you just kind of keep at it and just continue on. Some struggles that I have had are just prior injuries. I tore my ACL, my right knee
Ooh,
ACL. And so some of the movements definitely bothered me. This type of exercise gym is a lot more semi fast paced, a lot more body weight. You do have dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, and things like that, but there's no equipment as far as like a treadmill or an elliptical or things like that. It's more so of your body weight. So my knee definitely was giving me issues. There was a certain point where I just got a lot of numbness on like the left side of my body and then also issues with my legs, like they were just like not working. They didn't want to move when I wanted to move. So that was definitely a struggle, but part of it is just foam rolling and stretching and making sure that you're communicating with the coaches and just being like, hey, this hurts. Can you help me? Yeah,
yeah.
a lot of the time. So like I've had like my back hurting and like my legs hurting, especially. Definitely doing your stretching though is critical, but reaching out to the fit fam and just being like, hey, this doesn't feel right, and just modifying if necessary. Um, Definitely was uh, sometimes a struggle to reach out. But in this, I'm like, I'm hurting here, but I don't want to stop what I'm doing because I enjoy it. It was just always been, one of my happy times. I guess my stress reliever. It was just like for an hour, I don't have to think about anything besides like what exercise I have to be doing. Yes, and it's just like that relief there. But everybody was so welcoming, and the coaches were always so helpful. And if they didn't really know if stuff wasn't working, we would reach out to maybe a coach that is a little bit more familiar with the anatomy as far as like your muscles and like where something might be hurting and it's actually a different area in your body that might be tight. A lot of the times the when my lower body hurts, it's usually because you have like tight hip flexors, And so just doing stretching like that, and foam rolling, and like a lacrosse ball, which is super painful, but but it helps. Um, things like that for sure.
Yeah, lacrosse balls. So I've just got a foam
Yeah.
roller because I was
Oh,
curious. I was curious, yeah, because I saw these guys
yes.
on Global Triathlon Network. They're a UK YouTube channel, and they've taught me a few things about how to open water swim, but they also talk
Oh,
about the
okay.
recovery process. So let's say if you're getting ready for a run, you got to do the bands thing where you take your legs and you walk side to side with that resistance
Yes.
band. So
Yes.
they kept recommending this because it was meant for recovery exercises.
Mm-hmm.
So they kept stressing that, yeah, you can have a day where you don't do anything, but we actually recommend that if you want to stay more in shape, your recovery process workouts are one of those things that people forget that you probably shouldn't anymore. So I took their advice and I got one of those foam rollers and I got the bands, and I'm gonna give them a try here in a few days once I get all. I'm waiting on one more piece of equipment, with
Ah.
the mat. I want,
Ah, okay.
yeah, I need the mat.
Is
So
your the foam roller that you purchased, is it smooth completely? So it's like cylindrical and it's smooth pretty much the entire length of it.
oh no, it's got different parts. So
Okay.
yeah, it's so for the particular parts of the back, you can roll on one side. For particular parts of the foot, you can roll on another.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's got different divots and it's the widths are different on the side, so it's pretty multi-purpose. I was
Oh, that's
surprised.
good.
Yeah,
That's really
30
good.
for $30, I was kind of surprised that was the thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been really cool to hear these guys out because I kind of want to hear it from people who actually do this kind of thing. There's so
Yes.
much bad advice out there. So once I found them, I go, this is such a great resource that I don't have to worry about accuracy.
Right,
Because
right.
they already, that's their job. Like their job at GTN is to do this YouTube channel and then write reports on what's working. And they're
Right.
triathletes too.
Good. Yes. So they're going to show you what muscles you should be stretching and focus more so on it.
They even do a
Yeah.
video where they go to a physiologist and they tell you like what kind of stretches to do for swimming, biking, running, the stuff that typically people come in for. So
Yeah.
then they'll say, okay, well, if you're a swimmer, you need to do, okay, go next to the wall, squat down a little bit, bend up in a streamline, and then hold that there for 10 seconds.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they do all these different things to help you prevent going to the doc altogether or the
Yes.
chiropractor because you just already had a proper recovery workout. So that's been the new thing I've been looking into over the last couple months. I'm really glad that's free, that they're just giving out that advice for free. So it's been good to keep seeing that on GTN.
So I know I've definitely, there's been times where I lack on my recovery, and I've
Yeah.
definitely regretted a lot of the times. I'm just like, why didn't I foam roll a lot longer? Like it's so critical. It's just as much as like your exercise that you do, your recovery is just as important. And I know that I like, for me, there's times where my knees just been really bothering me. At one point I had to go to see a physical therapist, and she gave me some stretches and I didn't follow through necessarily. It's like, I mean, as soon as my knee starts feeling better, I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm good. But no, it's not. You have to keep on going at it for sure.
It's funny you
Recovery is
mentioned that
huge.
about knee problems because I've had ever since I started swimming crazy in 2012. My knee has been one of those
Hmm.
things my left knee I need to be more careful with. But again, back to those
Okay.
recovery workouts, they've got something for that and it actually helps. So I think what's going on is I need to do more of the lift the leg slowly, make sure it can do everything it needs to do, slowly extend it out, hold it, stretch it, bring it back.
Yes.
Um, all those recovery workouts actually have made it quite a bit better. It's mainly a thing about being more surgical with it. So don't just do kicking in the pool to make it feel better.
Right.
Actually lift it, stretch out, do the Superman thing where you stand on one leg and you reach all the way
Mm-hmm.
out. Because then it
Oh
helped.
man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Those things have been something I didn't know before that I thought was just a bunch of baloney. That no, this is actually for your joints, so that way when you go
Yeah.
work out hard the next couple of days, you did the proper
Warming
calibrations for
up.
your muscles.
Yeah.
Not under load. I think that's the main thing. So it's not about a loading thing. It's just about, can your body do what it needs to do with no load?
A functional thing. Yes.
Yeah. It's just a functions check. Because if you put a load on something that doesn't have a calibration right, that's how injuries happen. In the case of, in my case, like cycling, or in the case of swimming, a lot of it's the same repetitive motion. So that's mainly where the recovery is going to be.
Right.
So as far as other questions,
That's
how is the fitness family treating you now? Now that you've been doing it for a while.
Oh, we're like all really close, honestly.
So it's like,
Well, so when the first results location that I actually went to, was at a Sunrise location on Sunrise Boulevard. They ended up closing that location because of the leasing. There was a leasing issue. The person was going to increase the rent and not make any modifications to the building itself. That location actually didn't have any active AC. They had ceiling fans, and we had these really large, like industrial, like the swamp coolers that we have at work, huge like that. And so we would survive during the summer, but they really wanted to make modifications to it. They ended up closing it down. And then shortly after, the whole COVID thing happened, and all of the gyms were closed completely. So a couple of us, there's actually two women that I was, prior to everything closing, we were trying to do one, but after the COVID, after the Sunrise location closing, we ended up getting together and actually working out at a park. So we were working out even though all the gyms were closed, which was really great. I mean, honestly, that kept my sanity, like being able to continue working out, because it's such an important part of my life, that it's something that is, I need to do it to survive, basically. And you kind of get down in the dumps when you don't have your norm,
yeah.
But we definitely like pulled each other out, checking in on each other, which was really great. And the two women that I did the Spartan race, and currently still continue doing the park workouts, weren't necessarily my main group at the beginning when we were at Sunrise. But through everything, we kind of just reached out and we kind of just formed a group, which was really, really great. It's like, oh my gosh, like everybody's so welcoming. So we formed another group, and we're continuing, our exercise, fitness, lifestyle change journey together. And, everybody's so supportive, which I'm really thankful for. It's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely with 2020 being so unpredictable, having that at least as a functional baseline, unbelievably valuable.
Yes.
And that's why I wanted to hear your story, because
it totally is.
And that's why I wanted to hear your story, because this is a workout's not just a like preventative maintenance thing. In your case, it's no, I am going to not just have my fate just go down the line and then, oh, here I am. I'm here with the rest of my family. Nah, I'm going to choose my own fate this time. And you're choosing that every day. You decide to do this. So that's why I was really curious, because I'm going, this is somebody who decided, no, I'm going to stand up for something to beat whatever it is. And it's not just about the exercise. It's like a life goal, so to speak.
Right. And when everything started at first, like when I decided, you know what, I need to change because I don't want to be diabetic. I don't want to have to shoot myself up with a bunch of insulin and be so concerned about having like such a short lifespan. And I was young. I was in my like early 20s, like mid 20s. Like I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I'm too young to be going this route. So it was a decision and I made it and I try to fight for it every day and, try to stay motivated and waking up super early to go and exercise and seeing my fit fam. And that actually helps. So I don't know if I've told you, but I generally work out in the mornings,
Yeah.
Partly because work can be a bit hectic. I can have really long days. This was at the beginning when I was working out. Maybe not so much anymore because we have the whole tech ops and everything. But so I wake up at like 4:15 to get ready, and then I go and exercise at 5 at the gym location. So there are some locations open now with the whole COVID, but they have like strict regulations where you have to check your temperature and you have this square that you exercise in and you see your fit fam and high fives and no hugging or anything, but they're still there. And it just helps seeing like other people like, okay, you're crazy enough to wake up at whatever time to go and work out just to get it, get it in. It's just a release of energy too. It's like the days that I don't exercise, I just have this built up energy and I'm just like,
Especially when things get hectic and it's all chaotic and stuff, you're way less likely to keep that sheathed away. And then it's just, you might just snap. It's like, don't talk to me. It's just like, whoa, what happened? Sorry, I didn't get a workout in. Yeah. And also you get the blood flow going early, so that way for the rest of the day you at least have a fighting chance of getting through a lot of stuff and thinking through problems, and especially in the rest of the morning. Now afternoons might suck though if you're getting up that early. So
they do. I start losing my energy, but you just kind of get through it. Just like take your breaks.
Drink your water.
I know drink your water.
Yeah, Jocko's the same way. I don't know if you've heard of Jocko Willink. The same guy is just like, he's got his watch, and then every time like 4:30, 4:35, he's up doing workouts. He's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So he's on the same caliber as you in terms of getting up in the morning for that. But I'm so glad you get it in, because so many people say, well, I'm just not going to have the time, and then that's life.
Yes. And it really is. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to be doing at 4 a.m., 4:15, Probably nothing. I can't go to the grocery stores, they're not open, or I can't go and like hang out with people. So, that's the time. That's why I do it so early. And it's just part of it is just, at least I got something in, It's not always super motivating to wake up. There are some struggles, especially if you don't get enough sleep.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I know that there's been some days I go to the gym and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. But then you work out and then you have all the endorphins and you're just like, okay, I'm better. I'm awake. You have your blood flowing, your brain is finally awake, and you're just like, okay, I could do this.
Yeah, way more motivating after. You gotta get to the after.
Exactly. For sure.
Man, that's cool. That's 5 in the morning. It's probably when I'm going to bed half the time.
Oh yeah, because you're on a grave shift.
For now, yeah. Grace has been good to me though, particularly the last 2 years. It's been really good to me.
Good.
So I really only have one more question, because you answered 7 of them, even though I only had to ask 3, which is cool. It's pretty efficient. Definitely appreciate the engineering mindset. So for people who may want to like get into this, so let's say they're kind of like you and they were on the fence, but they didn't have any other motivator to get it done. So they're just kind of like, they're like humming and hawing about it. And they don't quite know if they're going to get into like a workout routine or a fitness family. What would you say to them to kind of get off the fence? So,
Sorry.
yeah,
You were
I was, so the main question is, let's say you got someone that's on the fence about doing workout routines and they don't quite know whether they should do it or not. What would you say to them to get off the fence?
I'll say do it. You have nothing to lose. Honestly, give it a try. What's gonna happen if you don't like it? Well, then try something else. I mean, there's so many different types of exercises that you can do, and not everything is for everybody. Like some people love running, some people like biking, swimming. You have to find something that you like to do, and whether it's something that you like doing solo, that's great, like going on a run or even going on a walk by yourself, listening to some music, making sure that it's somewhere where it's lit and there's people around. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different things to continue and just to reach out. And actually, one of the other reasons why I actually wanted to start exercising was to meet more people. I moved to Sacramento and I was on like shift coverage when I was starting my job, and I didn't really interact with anybody. I didn't really know anybody in Sacramento besides the people that I had interacted maybe in college or my family. And so that was a big motivation. Out there, meet new people. And honestly, I have met so much more people after going to the gym and meeting people there. Maybe not so much at a box gym like 24. Everybody just kind of does their own thing and they're very like focused and like laser focused on like what they're gonna do and what machine they're going to be going to next. But a group exercise like the one that I joined definitely was a different environment, and you just kind of have to see what works for you and try different things. If a group setting doesn't work or if a box gym doesn't work, there's like groups to do walking, there's groups to do running, to do biking, there's like classes to do boxing, and just so many different things. And if you don't know where to start, ask around, ask your friends, maybe even ask you like your primary care provider. They might have some ideas. I know when I was going through my whole like going the road down diabetes, like some of the things that I had taken were classes on eating healthier, and there were also classes to do like exercises and things like that. And I think that's huge. Like there's so many resources, and if you don't know, just ask. Like it's okay. It's a learning curve for sure. It's not like you're gonna get it right the first time, but it takes time and it takes patience as well. So reach out for sure. You can do it.
Good deal. Yeah, there's just so many people on the fence, especially with COVID gives them a great excuse to not do it. And then it's just actually it's the opposite, because some people actually have more time. So if anything, this would be the time to do it.
Right. And you can just do what works for you, especially with the whole COVID thing. I understand there's a lot of people that may be working slash living with somebody that has compromised immune systems, or they don't want to expose them. But there's so many different things that you can do even at home, like an exercises online or something. Like there's so many things that you could try, and you know you could do it.
You bring up the point about accountability though all throughout what you've been saying, and that's been probably the key factor in how human society has been able to kind of just get up and do things.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's in modern day, it's almost I gotta do it by myself, and it's all individualism, and there's a fair amount of truth in that to get done for you, so you know why you're doing it. But most of human history, it's been somebody it's groups of people doing stuff to make it happen.
Right.
So that's actually the big thing I've noticed, for especially for people who don't want to do it. Actually, no, that's the person who needs the group, and then you will be able
Mm-hmm.
to be a contributing factor for somebody else to keep going. So then eventually it'll be two-way. Maybe it'll only be one way at first, but it probably won't stay that way once it get integrated.
I totally agree, and that's exactly how it happened. You know, it got to a point where it's like, okay, I'm trying this out with the group, results. But then you kind of form your groups, and it's like, you have that accountability. Are you going to be here tomorrow? And if you're not there, it's like, where were you? And it's so awesome. You'll get that group going, and you'll have that accountability, and you have to be accountable for yourself for sure, and you have to know your why. That is huge. Why do you want to do this? Keep on going, and you'll get through it. You'll get to it.
Yeah, knowing the answer before you go, because then it's
Yeah.
okay. The verdict is in. It's get out there and go do it. Otherwise, you just sit home and okay, just do nothing forever.
Right.
Is that
Right.
what humans supposed to be? I don't think so.
No. No. No.
So you answer all my questions. I don't know if you've got any for me, but
Okay, let me look at mine. Okay. So you kind of answered some of my questions too, but when did you said you started swimming in high school?
nah, it was college. It was 20,
College.
yeah, 2011. I got into it, and I was still like trying to figure out, okay, what's this jammers thing? Okay, cool. They're like
Oh
the
yeah.
yeah, those are good. I was kind of slow, and then spring quarter, winter quarter of 2012, I didn't do anything as far as exercise. Just fell off the face of the earth by week 3, and
Hmm.
then at the end of it, I went, that can't happen anymore because my grades suffered from through the whole thing, and it was a complete nightmare. And that was actually my breaking point. I was probably this close from quitting chemical engineering altogether.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
was holding on with by like my last 3 fingers, so to speak, on one hand. And then I got through the quarter and I made it. And I go, you know what? If I could survive something like that, maybe I just need a little bit of optimization for next time, and it won't suck as bad. And sure enough, I swam 3 times a week the entire quarter. Grades improved instantly.
Oh my gosh. It's so amazing how a little bit of exercise kind of helps too. It's just like kind of a de-stressor. It's, a separation from your stress life and like what you have to get done, and just really focusing on like what you're doing and what your body needs to do to get from A to B or whatever. So I think it's huge. And that's so awesome that you've seen a difference from when you were exercising consistently and your grades improving. Like I feel like your mindset changes like with the exercise, and just staying motivated to have that schedule as well. You know what, I'm going to be going to swim this between this time and this time, so I have to get this done. So that kind of helps as well, you know having that schedule,
Yeah,
and
made it happen.
motivating to like get your stuff done. Yeah, that's awesome.
Then 2012, after that quarter, that was the proof of concept I needed. I go, okay, if 3 times a week improved it that much. Now, granted, there's other contributing factors. I mean, don't
Right.
suck as much as you have to. Get a little higher than that. So I put in a little more efficient time management. Our buddy Sean, over where we work, he was a contributing factor to getting through spring quarter more unscathed than the quarter before that. So the group dynamic got a little better. Um, and then fall quarter 2012, I mean, all the transfer students like yourself came in.
Right.
So new people, new experiences, more interconnectivity. A lot changed junior year, but a contributing factor was the upping the swim count from 3 times a week to 4 to 5 times a week. I wanted to get
That's
even.
good.
I wanted to get even more, um, and that was the better quarter of the entire year. Each quarter got better. 2013, it got harder to maintain that same level of wattage, so then I had to back it down. Um, and of course, I noticed it stagnation was probably more of the right word. So I didn't get any better
Okay.
at that point, but I did. I had to keep in mind how much workout I was willing to put in for the time I had and the sleep that we were getting. I mean, man, at some point I'm going, okay, if you're not sleeping right and you're trying to get your workouts in, do a little bit of soul searching on that before you decide to do a 5-day-a-week swim session. So
right.
So I had to balance it a little more in 2013, and then 20. So fast forwarding to when I came back to work, working over in Rancho here, I was doing more swimming, and then it stopped, or it wasn't stopped. It just came to like a 1 to 2 times a week thing. Once I went to grave shift,
Yeah.
and then that was kind of disheartening. So I'm going, I'm not getting as much in. And then there was a point where I had a low point in 2018 where it just stopped, and it wasn't very long. It was about a 5-month period, but it was just awful, absolutely awful, to just stop like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So finally, I kind of said, regardless, I should do something. I got back to the pool once or twice a week. And then my dad actually said, no, you actually need to go to a better gym. Here, make it happen, whatever it takes. So then I went to Lifetime for a while. Then COVID hit, and I had a couple people show me, like GTN, and somebody else who showed me the parking pass I needed to park at the lake. And then I was off to the races.
Okay. Wait, so what lake do you swim?
Right next to Hazel, Lake Natoma.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's a whole lake. So that kind of threw the gym thing completely. I'm like, that's totally unnecessary now.
Right.
Now that I know how to swim open water with the dry bag, that changed everything. And now I can park there without blowing $10 a visit.
Good. Did you end up getting like a year pass or?
Exactly.
Okay.
$130 to go to all the state parks.
Why not?
You
can probably go to different lakes as well and go and swim. But definitely
different lakes, different parking,
different terrain and.
Oh, for sure. And then you can go biking other places too. Or you can go running other places. Or you can just go for a walk. I do pack walks. That's another thing I do. So I'll do like 45 pounds in a GoRuck and then walk around with that with people sometimes.
Oh, yes.
So those are my 3 forms of exercise right now. I'm not ready to put running back on the schedule yet. But I might if I get the Cloud Tech shoes. So those are really bomb. They're
Cloud Tech shoes.
Yeah, they're from Switzerland. So they have like a honeycomb looking thing at the bottom.
Yeah.
Really good to run on. Yeah.
You have to show me. Have you wait, are you going to get those shoes? Are they coming in?
I'm gonna buy them probably the next month.
Nice. Okay. Have you ever tried going to, well, since you're already gonna have your shoes, I mean, you already have shoes, but have you ever tried going to Fleet Feet, or I want to say it's called Gold Running and Sport or something like that? I think it's in El Dorado Hills. Okay, so Fleet Feet and Gold's, what is it called? Gold. I forgot the name. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. But
sure.
Fleet Feet, you can go and they actually can measure your feet and can help you choose a shoe that best works for your step, for your feet, your weight distribution, for your, like, whether you have a high arch or low arch, etc. So I'm like, you should definitely, even if you don't want to get any shoes, you can probably just go and get your feet checked and try on some shoes. And if you want to buy a pair, that's great. One thing though is they're kind of pricey, but worth it. I ended up buying my first like gym shoe. They were pricey, like over $100. But I'm like, you know what? I go to the gym or I go and work out basically
all the time.
All the time. I want to say like at least five times a week. And I'm like, okay, it's worth it. So I invested in them. I definitely like them. And if you're gonna start running, that might work as well, for sure. But yeah, I'm excited. I kind of want to see your shoes too.
Yeah, I'll post what we talked about. I'll see if I can find some links and put it down below in the
Yeah.
description once we're done. Yeah, no, it's been good to get some investment going on this. I mean,
Right.
a few buy it for life items has been coming my way over the last couple of years because I'm just sick of, okay, if you're going to use it that much, you can afford it. You just got to budget
Right.
for it.
Right. I totally agree.
So budgeting for fitness was the other thing that came up a couple of years ago. I was kind of mad about, I didn't know. I mean, I could budget, but it wasn't granular. So
Hmm.
now I've got it itemized by every single thing. And then it helps for
Okay.
tax purposes too. So
Right.
every
Right.
single thing is accounted for. And that's the goal. Instead of it being, well, I have a rough amount for housing and a rough amount for fitness and a rough amount for food.
Right.
It's no, every single thing's accounted for. And then here's the contingency that's been planned for it in the event something comes up that you didn't expect. So yeah, buy it for life items. The shoes are harder because you're gonna wear them out. Um,
Right.
but if you can say, well, I'll buy a good pair of shoes that might last me, 3 to 4 years, which is pretty good if you're using them all the time.
Hmm.
If you're using them all the time, that's great. I've got a pair of running shoes from Nike that were really tight on my feet, but they were really good for running
Ah.
10Ks, and
Okay.
I still have them. I don't use them for running anymore though, because again, some of these shoes are gonna probably wear out over time, and you'll have to get them replaced, which is of course a money thing. But
Right.
for swimming, that's probably the cheapest one. Think
That's for sure. You're good.
you're good.
Do you what when you do your swimming, what gear do you use?
I'll put it all down, but I'll tell
I
you.
mean, okay.
So so I have these. I'll go from bottom to top. So I've got these jammers called Roca,
Hmm.
and they're neoprene. So
Oh,
they'll last a lot longer than the jammers
yeah.
I had in college, because those, I mean, they're a polymer too, but they're super thin. But they're meant to
Yeah.
hug your thigh, which is
Right.
fine. But Roca does the same thing. It's just made of neoprene, so it's the same stuff they make their wetsuits out of. A lot of triathletes use their wetsuits nowadays. They just showed up on the market a few years ago, like 2016. Um, so because they're made for swimming, they are a little more, uh, what's the word? Not fragile, but they can get poked, and you gotta take care of them pretty much. But for $80, I
Okay.
mean, I could swim in those things over and over again, and the jammers probably won't last a year at the rate I swim nowadays.
Okay.
So every
Right.
year I
Right.
was buying a new pair of jammers, but that's about $20-$30 a year. But for $80, I think these things should last a lot longer, so it's probably worth
Yeah.
it. I have a $50 dry bag that's called New Wave, and it's just
Hmm.
a PVC um, type material that just floats, and you can use it for other water sports too. It doesn't have to be just swimming, but
Hmm.
the swimming application comes with the belt, so you you hook yourself in. You
Ah.
put all of your goodies in the dry bag, you blow it up, and then you roll it, and then clip, and then you're on your merry way. You're swimming all
Right.
over the
Right.
place.
Nice.
So, and then I've got a pair of Speedo goggles that are reflective that are about $20 to $30,
Okay.
and then I've got this kind of shirt, which is a Tesla shirt,
Hmm.
TSLA, and that's about another $20. So, but if you consider all those are consumable items, but for what, 100 some odd dollars, you can swim for like 5 years straight.
Right. Right. It's an investment, and it's a worth one.
Yeah,
It's not something for sure.
so that was something that for swimming, I'm going, this is too cheap to not invest in for something I'm going to use that often.
Right. Right.
Shoes, same thing. The parking pass is only 130 a year, which is unbelievable. I mean, the gym I was
Hmm.
going to, that already beats That's probably like 1 month of lifetime, if you want to be
Right,
honest.
right, right.
So yeah, my swimming gear, it's bomb. I
That's
really like it.
huge. That's awesome. Um, do you have any like headphones or anything that you use while you're swimming, or
Yeah.
it's just you on the lake,
So
you
I
on the
mean,
lake?
now that's
Nice.
interesting, because John, one of our coworkers, he had some buds that you can put on the back, and you can hook it to your goggles. So then they come with
Oh,
buds, and you can do that. Yeah, it's waterproof. I haven't done that
nice.
in a minute though, because there's a lot of times when I'm swimming outside where I just want to kind of let your mind go. It, it's
Yeah,
it's re-
yeah.
so your mind's recalibrating, uh, and usually some kind of song stuck in my head anyway when I'm out there. But it's not the same as actually putting music on iPod or something and
Right.
and hooking in. But yeah, no, I have one of those. It's in my gym bag if I ever want to use it. One of the upgrades I want to do to it is I want to have hooks on it so it actually stays on my ear, because
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
sometimes falls off if you're swimming too fast. So I haven't used it very
Ah,
much, but I have used it. The concept's there. Now I just want to put it on and get the buds fixed. So if I can get the buds
right.
modified, I think I'd use it a little more. Um, yeah, but that's all you do. You just hook it to the back of your goggles, and then you have your iPod that's clicked in, and then if it's charged, I mean, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Oh man, I'd be so afraid to lose any ear device while swimming. But I've seen people when I was going to 24-hour fitness, people would be running or swimming laps, and they would have headphones in. I'm like, oh, yeah, those actually exist. I'm like, wow. I was just curious if they actually work, but
So,
apparently they
yeah, the
do.
last few years, man, it's just you have to keep reading because there's going to be some new tech that just got on the market that actually
Of
works.
course, of course,
I
of
mean,
course.
like for microphones, what I was using before, I've got the Blue Yeti now, which is what I'm talking to you on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just amazing how one ubiquitous piece of equipment, now that thing is, it's being used all over the place, and as far as mic quality, I'm going, holy crap, man. It's just one device, and that's just happening all over the place in terms of fitness gear and video, computers. It's hard to keep up with all this, but the
I totally agree.
the good news is, I mean, if you just get some standard stuff, I mean, you'd be surprised what you'd be able to find. And I'd say keep talking to people that are in fitness, because you'd be surprised what information they have that would really
For
help you.
sure, for sure.
That's how
Yeah.
GTN, like the Global Triathlon Network people, they told me about all kinds of stuff I had no idea about. And that changed how I did my swimming. And now, do I need any more upgrades? Not really. I kind of saw what they did. I'm going, okay, if you're doing open water swimming, maybe you invest in a
Yeah.
wetsuit. And then everything else, though, I could keep working with that the rest of my life. I mean, the water's not going to change.
Right, right. That's awesome. I think you're just building up your all your equipment and everything as well, and it sounds like you pretty much have everything for your swimming.
Swimming's,
Um,
that's dialed. It's ready.
yeah, that's awesome. Oh man. So I actually did have a question. I know that you are pretty active yourself.
Sure.
What keeps you motivated to continue exercising and doing your swimming, and now you're it sounds like you're going to be doing biking with your group and everything. Like what keeps you motivated?
So, with swimming, there's a big plus factor with it's a cold lake. Well, that's an anti-inflammatory.
Oh, yes. You make a point. Yeah.
Now, if I go to a pool that's like over at a indoor gym, you suffer because it's hot and it's heat controlled and it's got
Usually, yes.
chlorine. Now, I'm still glad to go, but it's not an anti-inflammatory. Um, so I have to take a cold shower and then it's fine. But the whole time I'm in the lake, complete anti-inflammatory. So that's a big win. Um, the other thing is you can kind of just be there. No one's rushing you to go like 30 miles an hour.
Right,
It's
right.
just kind of do your 1 mile an hour swim, 1.5 if you want to push yourself. That's it. And
Yeah.
with biking, I mean, we used to bike all the time everywhere, but it was mainly just to get from point A to point B. It wasn't for a workout. We already
Right.
had plenty of that
Right,
already.
right.
Now that it's a workout, I like what it does for concentration because
Okay.
it forces you to be more aware of your surroundings. I also like it because I get to see the other houses around. So you get to actually
Ah,
you're mapping out the neighborhood when you do those bike rides. Whereas
right.
in a car, I'm not looking at that stuff.
Right. I totally agree. There's so many times where I'm usually the one that's driving and I can't look around and see my surroundings. And when you're out, like on a walk or a bike ride, you can see a lot more of that and pay attention to those things.
So the reconnaissance aspect has been awesome because you'd be surprised what kind of houses are being built or oh,
Hmm.
I don't want to live in that neighborhood. I kind of want to live in that one. Too
Yeah.
pricey. Okay, and you just kind of go around. Um, but there's a meta reason behind all those things. I think those are surface level. The main thing is no one's going to take care of your body for you. And if they are, that probably means you're in a hospital bed or you're like in a paid like house arrest while someone takes that's do you really want to live like that?
Right, right.
Have you heard there's this guy Peter Attia and he talks
Hmm.
about longevity and
Okay.
he was really mad at the medical system because it says we spend so much effort trying to save people's lives in the hospital where if they just spend a little at the front end they wouldn't be blowing 50% of their medical expenses in the last 2 years of their life. So that was a big motivator, just
For
because
sure.
there's instead of blowing 50% of all of your medical investments on your last 2 years of your life, which I'd rather just die 2 years early personally. Let that go to
Right,
help
right.
somebody else that actually can use it. Why help me if I'm already 90 or something? Um, so that was the main thing was no one else is going to do it for you and take some personal responsibility. Yeah, the accountability thing's a little harder, but Strava's helped with that because I see other people's posts.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
other people's posts on Strava, I can show them and go, look, this is my 4 times that I worked out over the last week, and then you can compare
Right.
notes, and it tells you the wattage of your bike, so you can see how fast you're actually going and how much energy rates you were putting in, and you can compare to your buddy over there, and that part's been good. Um, yeah, no one else is going to do it for you though. I think it's the main message, and
Right.
it's a lot better than okay. What's the alternative? Okay, let me feel sorry for myself,
Hmm.
and I'm just not going to do it. I'm too busy, and I guess it's just not going to happen. And I don't diet very well, and I look at that life and I go, what kind of that doesn't seem responsible. And
Right, right.
if I'm going to be a person that says that I'm responsible, I should demonstrate it. So that's the okay. I'm being accountable to the character I want to be, and so that way I'm not making myself a hypocrite.
Right, right.
So the fighting the hypocrisy aspect of the human fallenness has been a big factor in continuing to swim and bike as well.
That's awesome. I totally agree with that, with a lot of what you said.
Good. Hopefully this is actually helping because yeah, there's a tendency for people to think like, oh yeah, working out's that's all I do and it's great and all, but the accountability thing can be hard, but that when you face yourself every day and you go, who do you want to be, and who are you representing? Um,
Right, right.
those two things keep popping up in my head, and I go, well, that's my why.
Right. Have there ever been times where you're just like, you know what? I don't want to go swimming. I don't want to go biking. Okay.
I'm a human
So,
being.
yes.
There's plenty of
I,
no's.
yes, I'm right there with you. I'm like, that's I think something that's critical. Like be patient with yourself. You're not always going to want to go and exercise. It doesn't work that way. But, you know, kind of reminding yourself your names. I want to say like 9 out of 10. I'm always like glad that I actually went to go work out rather than staying in bed and sleeping. I mean, there's times where you're just like super exhausted and you didn't get a good night's sleep and you're just like, it's not going to happen today. And that's okay. But, making sure that you kind of push through the times where you just don't want to go. But I'm glad that I'm not the only one. And there's plenty of people who aren't always motivated to go and exercise, but you feel so much better when you actually do it.
There was a thing that Jordan Pierce was talking about, and it's habits over motivation. Motivation's fine for a fast burning, a small time frame, but for the real stuff that gets you where you want to go in life, he's saying the things you do every day, that's going to make up who you really are. So the habits you do matter way more than the short-term motivation. So use your motivation as accelerant, but don't rely on it for everything because you're going to burn out. So structure your life in the habits that you want to be and then keep doing it that way. And then even if you don't want to, the good news is you have enough neurotic wiring within your brain to get you through it and just say, no, this is happening anyway, even though I don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably
Rely
a better...
Rely on your habits.
Rely on your habits.
Rely on your habits.
And there's a negotiation you have to do with yourself in order to get those habits to form. Because that's probably the harder part.
An internal battle within yourself. I totally agree. It's just kind of like tell your brain to be quiet and just go.
Or a part of the brain that just wants to like not do it. It's whatever, man. But then there's just on the other end of the continuum, to be fair, if you're working too hard, okay, you have to renegotiate your habits and go, okay, what day would I need for more sleep versus more exercise? And then make that a habit instead of the 4 in-the-morning, oh, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Back sleep. That's terrible. Don't do that.
Yes.
Just instead, schedule it in, okay, on Friday, that's going to be the day where I can just sleep until 6.
Right.
Alarm set for 6 o'clock. That's part of the schedule. And then maybe when things get better, put it back on the regular habit. I used to have a problem with that growing up where, I'm going to do this. Woke up. Nah, not happening. And then you snooze right through it. And what was the point?
Right.
So
I guess part of that is just kind of set yourself up for success. If a 4 a.m. doesn't work, or if it's like, you tried it a couple times, then try a different time. Like, it's okay. That's for sure.
It's a big negotiation.
A big negotiation within yourself, for sure. But you'll get through it. For sure. Let's see if I had any more other questions.
Yeah.
Oh, did you I know you mentioned that you're going to start doing running potentially. What type of running do you see yourself doing / do you like to do? Like, do you like running on trails or on pavement around neighborhoods, like hiking areas? Like, what's your go-to for running? And or where do you see yourself in the future? Because I don't think you actively run currently.
Nah, not now.
Right?
So the last time I did it for like a habit was 4 years ago, and it was pretty bomb. So it goes back to that 3-mile track.
Right.
And that was on the side of a road, really. I mean, you're just in like a really narrow bike lane.
Okay.
I actually prefer the road. Mainly because that's it. Just go on the road, or trails are fine. I won't say they're bad, or they might go. Now, for trails, if there's a good combo of like, here's a 1.5-mile loop, I'm probably going to do the trail.
Okay.
But if there's an equally good road slash sidewalk that's a 2 mile loop, I'm not really going to care too much. So I guess my go-to through all of, if I had add up all my running though, it would have to be the road.
Okay.
Because that's how the road and sidewalk has been most of my running experiences through cross country. Because then you're just going. I mean, I kind of understand that. If you're on a road, you're going somewhere, you see that
Right.
it's a long way, so what? You just keep going. But then you're not necessarily doing hills, because I'm not necessarily a hills guy. Unless it's hiking, I guess I'll do hills if it's hiking.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be running up hills all the time.
Hills are definitely a challenge. Um, so with this whole COVID and everything, and like going back to results, and actually the women that I was continuously exercising on the weekend, on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, um, we ended up joining this program that's for a training for a Spartan. And so they're
Yeah.
doing a lot, they're doing a lot of running, and I don't do running really, short distances I could say okay, I'm decent, but long distances I'm like kind of dragging my feet a bit, and I'm just like, oh man. But what, doing this training course, I think it's 3 months, and we do it like 3 times a week, and there's a lot of running involved. And so I've like definitely increased my running, um and it's not my friend. I don't like I don't like running. But I'm like, okay, if I continue doing this, I'll get better at it, maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah,
running's my least. If all the ones that I do, pack walks
yeah,
are like my substitute for it, mainly
right.
because your legs are still getting the same kind of load
Okay.
without having to jump up and down. um,
Yes.
you're not jumping, you're just walking around and having that. So a lot of people that did, they call it rucking.
Mm-hmm.
That type of sport is preferred for people who want to try before they get into running again. They recalibrate on that, and then when they
Oh,
run, they don't have anything on their back anymore, so
yeah.
they actually can have a spring to their step again.
Yeah, that's actually really smart. Now that I think about it. So what some of the exercises that we've had to do um was like running with a kettlebell. We
Ah,
we ended up, yeah, we were, so the gym location is over in Folsom. So we're at a parking lot. We Everybody picks a kettlebell. And you have to run with it, and it's super awkward. Like you don't know where to put it, and we had to run to Beals Point, a lake. Yeah, it was a lot of a jogging slash walking for me. I'm trying to position it, but I'm like, if you go that mentality with like a heavy weight on yourself, I mean, even if you're just walking, it totally makes sense that once you take off that load, you're gonna feel like it's a lot lighter, a lot easier to do your running. Like, maybe I need to try that, even if it's just walking. Because I know one of the things that I kind of get nervous about is if I do too much running, then my knee will start hurting.
yeah.
And actually, with the increased running, actually before I started running more, my feet were starting to hurt, and I think part of it was just I had old shoes slash inserts slash I wasn't rolling out my legs and my muscles the way I was supposed to. And I'm still kind of recovering from it. But just making sure, icing it, and, ibuprofen, and stretching and doing all that stuff because it's super important. But yes, running is not my favorite task or my favorite exercise, but um, hoping that it'll come on board as a regular. Maybe not like a marathon or anything, but you never know.
Well, tell you what, if you want to see the GoRuck thing, I'll bring it in sometime, and
Okay.
you can take a look and see if that's the kind of thing you want to train with. Um,
Right.
a lot of people train with them for a reason. So pre-running, they have a lot of weight on their back, and then when they take it off and they actually go run, they go, wow, this is actually not so bad anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, it's so amazing that there is a technique to running, and like your hand positions and like how you're moving your legs. Like before we started the program, there was a, a gentleman that came in, and he's part of like a running group, and he was showing us these techniques and kind of like, oh yeah, a lot of people run like this and they're kind of dragging their feet, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. So just like little techniques, and just like um positioning your arms and your legs, and your body as well, like, is super important. So
Yeah, have you heard was it the heel toe kick? So heel toe up, so you're always trying to get your legs to not kick your buttocks, but probably about this high off the ground, so that way you're like your legs are parallel with the ground. Then do it over and over and over again. I was never that good at getting my legs up that high.
right.
Um,
Yes.
that's the hard part for me on the running. But I can get them up at maybe, let's say, a 30-degree angle. That's like 30 to 45. If I'm starting to get that, I'm starting to have a good pace. So not everyone can do.
Yes.
Not everyone can do the crazy like 90-degree swing up of the foot.
Yes. Yes. So there's some exercises that can help with that positioning, practicing your high knees and actually your butt kickers, because you're focusing on like trying to get contact, your feet contact with your butt, which will help with that movement. Not necessarily that you're going to be running that way, but just kind of familiarizing yourself with that positioning and that movement of your legs will help. And I'm like, the times that I ran, I'm like, he's in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, he's right. When I kind of do more of a lifting, like a butt kicker kind of lift, you're definitely moving a lot faster, from what I kind of observed. Whether that's true or not, I couldn't tell you, but I felt it.
Well, I mean, from a physics perspective, I mean, you have your leg that you're swinging up. That potential energy now becomes kinetic, and then it swings back. So
Right.
as opposed to if I'm only lifting my feet up just enough to get one foot in
Yes.
front of the other,
There's not a whole lot of it.
not
Yes.
really. There's not a lot to
Yeah.
give, and your body's more likely going to think, I'm just kind of like doing this until I get to a walk again,
Yes.
which is coming pretty soon. And then,
Yes. I totally agree. Like, that's been me plenty of times.
yeah, I used to be the chubby kid in the back, and that's how I used to run.
What?
And, well, yeah, that's how I started. My dad said, "You're
Aw.
not going to be that guy anymore." And I go, "Oh, fair
Aw.
enough, okay."
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things he ever did. At the time, though, it came out of left field. But thanks to that, I went from chubby to normal.
Right, right.
And I'll take normal. Normal's good. Now I gotta stay that way and maybe get even more fit, more fit than just normal.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a really good move on his end. I'm still kind of surprised he did that because it was just so
Yeah,
impromptu.
for sure. So now at this point, it kind of sounds like you have kind of goals you want to try to get into running. How else do you feel like you're going to up your game, I guess you can say, as far as like your fitness, um, activity slash, your goals in your activity world or exercise world?
So for biking, we mentioned wattage. So in
Mm-hmm.
the cycling world, there's a thing called watts per kilo, and from our engineering background, we love
Yeah.
comparing apples to apples. You normalize the wattage from the weight. So when I compare, let's say I'm doing 1 watt per kilo, and
Uh-huh.
my friend Aaron's doing maybe 2 watts per kilo. Okay, so he actually is going twice the energy rate for his weight compared to me.
Right. Okay.
Because I might be doing 500 watts, whatever, But if we're not the same weight, it doesn't matter. Like there needs to be some level of normality, because that's something that bigger people are going to have. So bigger people, yeah, you can have a great power outage, but what's the watts per kilo?
Right,
So that
right.
way you can compare each other. So I want to get my watts per kilo above 1. Um,
Okay.
so and I want to get to more like 2 watts per kilo. It's tough though, because in a residential area, there's a lot of stop signs. So,
Right.
but there's the river. I'm thinking about going over there, um, seeing if maybe I can go a little faster there, maybe push myself a little more. Um, for running, uh, definitely getting the recovery workouts to be part of the after run. So the
Mm-hmm.
after run should be done with the roller and the bands. The bands are actually really important for running, because that's the muscles that you're not necessarily getting to use
Yeah.
all the time, and it's a more surgical workout routine. I think that's a good way to put it. And for
Okay.
swimming, I think I'll just keep doing the same thing, maybe mile to a mile and a half. Maybe
Right.
if I'm crazy enough, I'll do like a 2-3 mile swim as I get stronger in it.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Dang.
that's within my range. It's just I need to actually get it done and have the time frame for it, because you start doing these long workout sessions, you got to keep in mind there's still life going on. So
Right, right.
that's probably going to be my ceiling. Um, so just getting it in is probably going to be the starter, but the recovery workouts are going to be the big thing that is going to be a game changer since last time. Global Cycling Network and Global Triathlon Network, those two um, types of YouTube channels from the UK have been incredibly helpful in getting ready for a lot of these things. So I'll probably keep listening to them, because you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth, man. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
not hearing it from Joe Blow or my parents. I'm hearing it from them, which actually do it. So they've been extremely helpful for little things too. I mean, lubing your shifters. I didn't know that was a thing, but then they
I
should.
didn't know
Well,
either.
yeah, that's the thing. They sometimes get stuck. So
Ah.
so you got to get in there and give it a little WD-40 or give it some lube or whatever, so that way it can actually cycle. Because I'm going,
Okay.
my chain's lubed. What's wrong? It's just, yeah, well, maybe the action isn't.
Ah.
That was like a 4-minute video. These guys are awesome. So they they have a lot of good videos. I'll post both of them, because
Yeah.
they have been so helpful in breaking my stigma of open water swimming, because
Uh-huh.
I used to think I could only do it if I had somebody watching my stuff. And then now they're like, nah,
Oh, yeah.
people in Europe, they're forced to use dry bag. That's a indicator of that a swimmer is going, because it's
Okay.
tied to them. So that way
That
other
makes
people,
sense. Yeah. So
yeah,
people can spot you from afar.
Europeans have some of the better SOPs in this regard when it comes to safety. So they
Right.
go, yeah, we're forced to do this. So here's the
Okay.
bag. And then everyone's doing it. So I go, oh, well, oh, $50 on Amazon. Well, I mean, fine. Yeah, I think that'll solve my problems. Sure enough, it did. Um,
That's awesome.
and just make sure you have those little inner bags, so that way if you bring your phone or anything, you've got that extra contingency if
Right.
anything were to
Just in
happen to the
case.
bag.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my plans for upcoming fitness and upcoming fitness activities.
That's awesome. So it does sound like you're doing the three: running, swimming, biking, similar to a triathlon. Would you ever consider doing one?
Not now. I mean, I like their training model. These guys are ready for
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. That's why I
Okay.
like them.
Okay.
So we're in a world of people that are blame shifting and freak out culture, and
Right.
everything's always wrong, and you can't mess up even once or otherwise you're a fool. But then I see these guys and I go, yeah, no, they're actually training, and then they talk about it and they try and improve themselves, and I see it as a very honest attempt to live. Um,
That's awesome.
so, I'm a Christian, and
Mm-hmm.
these guys emulate more of what my spiritual mindset works. So those two go together, in my opinion.
Okay.
So because they go together, I go, okay, these guys are living in a way that's proper, and they're able to take care of themselves, and they're not blame shifting. They're lifting each other up, and they're getting other people to get active. And I go, that's the way out, as far as I'm concerned. It's not the blame shifting and all this, which is just absolutely toxic. It just drives me insane. But when I see them go out, they're happy as a clam, and they actually take care of business and get stuff done. They maintain their bodies. They think about their life. It's responsible. So going back to the not being a hypocrite thing, that's something I'd like to pursue for that particular reason.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me take a look if I had any other questions on my.
Sure thing.
I think you've answered all my questions. Oh, actually, how did you get into podcasting again? You said your was it college friend?
Yeah, it's Julian. So
okay.
If you go on the channel, you'll see him.
Okay, I'll have to like reach out, because I know you sent me a couple videos.
Yeah, that's a whole playlist, so you can see every single one, and you can just kind of scroll through and see what you want.
So I guess, like, what's your motivation to doing these podcasts? It's just kind of documenting things that you guys are interested in, or
that's one.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
But there's some other ones that. So we talked about earlier on the podcast that sometimes people in social groups just want to talk about what's new, which, yeah, there's some validity there, but I just wouldn't want to stay there for the whole conversation. We're getting actual time blocks to talk about things that we don't usually get to have time for in typical social circles.
Yeah.
So that's a part of it. The third option is getting things documented in a way that could help other people. So this is kind of like mentorship part 2. So doing something that helps other people.
Right. Okay.
So that's another reason why we're doing the podcasting. And I think the fourth reason is I wanted to improve. And this is one of the ways you can humbly improve, by listening to what you talk about with other people and see your flaws directly recorded. Because you're not always paying attention to yourself, but when you do, after the stream's over or after the recording's over, you'll find out what you were doing incorrect. And then it forces you to be better at your game. And another thing about electronics, I use them, but I wasn't an expert by any means or proficient. I just kind of use them. The podcasting platform forces me to be better than just use them, but to also troubleshoot them. So that's like 5 reasons right there. But definitely the main ones are for, let's see if we can help somebody with some of the topics that we're doing, and then documenting the past, and getting a lot of the good ideas that we may have on video to look back at later.
Yeah. So
all that's why I'm doing it. And Julian's definitely right up there for the same reasons. He's probably got a few others besides this. He loves cameras, by the way. He's taught me so much about cameras.
Really?
Yeah. I have a lot more to learn on cameras. And audio setup, and just being able to troubleshoot different pieces of electronics. Would have never cared to learn about the stuff unless we did this. So, and that's really helpful, because as we get more and more technologically advanced, it would be good to just know how to do this stuff.
Totally agree. It's crazy how much technology we use nowadays.
It's insane. Like there's just so much. I got a computer right here, right there, and then one right there, and then one right there. They're all ready to go. Man. We've got a lot of stuff at our fingertips. So being efficient, getting ideas out there, yeah, that's a big part of the podcast that we do. So we've got things on budgeting, mentorship, life experiences, now fitness, lessons learned from things that we're doing. We're going to do a podcast later on like buy it for life items, or some of the items that you're going to want to have. So that way, in the event you're doing some kind of like for me, Vitamix was a really big life changer because now I can have fruits and vegetables without crying about it. Because it's just blended, you know.
Right.
So we'll talk about that in another podcast because Julian, he's really into things. So that's like his show. I'll jump in with a few things on life items, but he's probably going to jump in with like the different cameras he's got and the different lenses. I'm only using one lens. He's got an N number of lenses.
Oh, man.
So it's been great to learn from him about this camera because I would have never guessed how to set it up. It's just not my forte.
Well, maybe now it can be.
So that's what he's saying. Yeah,
right.
That's what he's saying. Now, it's possible that this information might be just integrated into me, and then it won't be so scary anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome. So since you guys have done your podcast, has anybody reached out to you just thanking you guys for the podcast that you guys have done so far?
You'd be surprised what randos would post and say thanks. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
that's
like
awesome.
Some of them are spam, but which is kind of like crap. But some of them are real.
Right.
And it's usually like an impulse, like,
okay,
hey, thank you very much. This is really inspiring. Keep it up. And then you'll never hear from him again.
Maybe it helped them though.
It did. I mean, it's obvious in their thing, but it's one of those they drop the comment and then they're done. But for sure, there's people who appreciate it. The subscriber count's low mainly because we don't really advertise it.
Right. Which is fine, you know.
Julian,
you never know.
He may want to change that up once we get more because he kind of wants to build it in such a way that when we already have it advertised, we've just got so many videos on hand that we don't have to worry about always making a new one like every day. So that's kind of the idea, is stock up enough videos where in the event this does advertise more for people to see on social media or wherever on the web, there's already enough videos for people to look at. So that's kind of the point here.
Be entertained.
Be entertained, educated, and motivated. Sure. And
that's awesome.
This ain't Motivation Madness though, where they got like 3 million or 2 million subscribers and they get all these different people and their cameras are just so much better. I mean, it's meant to help a particular selection of people, and then if that's who it helps, I mean, that's kind of like a win.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised, like the people that you motivate that you never thought you would have or you reached out to, and you know, you never know. It's like,
that's why we're doing it too. I mean, that's one of those reasons where, it probably is going to help somebody. And even if it helps nobody, Julian and I, we look back on these from time to time and we go, we said that? Wow, okay, accountability, I said that. Better go do it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that's why we're doing it. Hopefully we keep doing it. I think I wanted to my goal was 100 podcasts. I think by that point, if I'm not doing it right by then, I'll probably say we'll stop it. If we keep going, I'd be pretty amazed. We've gotten our money's worth on our equipment pretty much by now.
That's
awesome. But we're going to keep doing it, I bet. He likes it because there's a lot of ideas he doesn't get to say except through this podcast. And I agree with that a lot. A lot of people don't want to talk about real stuff. We talk about real stuff. It's cool. I get to catch up with you, get to catch up with other people through it. Our mutual friend, Matt. That was cool.
I know it was. I'm like, I have to finish his podcast, and then we'll definitely have to reach out and maybe do a Zoom call or something, because it's been too long. I know, like, I text him here and there, but, you know, not consistently.
Yeah, no kidding. He'd really appreciate it, by the way.
Yeah. Maybe I'll shoot him a text after this. Let him know I just did a podcast with Jacob.
Yeah. I might send it his way too. But when this is all over, I'll make sure that you get the link, and I'm going to put all the timestamps of what we talked about in the description, so you can just click on like the parts that you want to actually watch.
Okay.
So that way it's all organized. And I like to do it that way too, because when I watch it again, I look for what can I do better, and what did we talk about, and can we get summarized so I don't just forget it.
Right.
So I don't want to forget the good parts of life like this.
Aw, that's so awesome. That's like, oh my gosh.
So as far as that goes, I mean, I'm pretty wiped, but this has been good.
Yes, I totally agree. Wow, it's 8. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. These things go by
Wow.
like that.
They went by quick. Like, oh my gosh. I didn't, I was like, I don't
Welcome
think
to
I
the
did the
podcast
last
world.
time. I'm like, okay, good to know. Well, Jacob, this has been really great. Thank you for inviting me to talk on your podcast.
Anytime.
I'll have to keep in touch with all your exercise activities. Maybe I'll get some ideas on where to run slash walk.
Yeah, use Strava, man. There's a lot of people on
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
So at this point, I mean, it's been great, and yeah, I'll stop the recording here in a minute.
Okay.
Because there's probably a point in there where I can just like, okay, that was a good stopping point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
At this
Right.
point, we're in the epilogue mode. Just so you know.
Okay.
What'd you think?
Perfect. Oh my God. It was good. I was really nervous. I mean, after kind of getting into conversation about like fitness and everything, it definitely calmed me down a lot more because I mean, starting my fitness journey is huge. Like, it's such an important part of my life. I know that I've made it like one of my priorities to do. Like, if I need to get anything done, I'm like, I need to work out.
Exactly.
And yeah, sometimes just kind of having that peace, like, it's not always motivating to go work out and everything, but you know like, just being able to take a break from the day to day of everything and just focusing on like the task at hand and being able to move, like, that's one of the biggest things, is just being able to move my body. Like, where I was and where I'm at now, I'm just like, wow. I'm so glad that I made the choice to continue on this fitness journey. And yes, I'm not perfect, and it's not always, rainbows and butterflies, and there's times where you're down in the dumps, and especially when my Sunrise gym closed, and then shortly after COVID happened, it was like I wasn't going to the gym. I didn't have that outlet. And then they tried compromising with some video, or live stream, not live stream, I guess. No, yeah, they were live stream gym recordings, and I think they were on like a Zoom class.
Yeah, like everybody
And
else.
yeah, I mean, it worked a little bit, but it's not the same. It's not the same, going to an actual location away from home and being able to interact with your fit fam and people that like to, well, exercise. I mean, I don't know that everybody likes to wake up at 4 or go work out at 5 a.m. But we do it. We continually do it. So
Yeah, if I were on your schedule, I'd probably be doing it after.
Mhm.
But as it would get to fall and winter, that would get tougher. So maybe I'd have to wake up early too to just like do a bike ride around town or something.
Yeah. Um, I think doing it after like a day of work is hard for me to be motivated to exercise way, and there's like no excuse, like, no, what are you going to be doing at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning? Like, what can you do, honestly? So it's worked for me. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but you kind of just find what helps you keep going and
Find a method.
exercising and
Yeah.
moving your body. Yeah, yes, totally agree.